What is up? My name is Ryan, and today we are ranking every top chase card from Scarlet and Violet. Let's go. So as you can see, we got the classic ranking system, S being the top, E being the bottom, and then everything between. And today we're going to go through and rank every Scarlet and Violet top chase card, that being the #1 top chase in each set of the Scarlet and Violet era. Let's go. So starting off with Scarlet and Violet base set, the top chase is going to be the Gardevoir EX. As you can see, it started off a year ago around $35 and it's kind of had a little roller coaster and it's now coming down from its all-time high. Now I love this card. I think this card is great. If you follow the whole line, it tells the story. And I have the Ralts card. I pulled it from Scarlet Violet base and I think it's such a cute little storyline. And I just think it's a very, very cool card. There's a lot going on. And at this point, the family itself is much older and they've got an established house. It's very, very nice. So I don't think you can get much better than this. I'm going to put it in that A category though, because this is one of the best, but I think there is better. So that's going to be a very high A for me. All right, moving on to Paldea Evolved. Now this is my favorite set, spoiler. Many of you follow my channel know that I have a Paldea Evolved Master set going and I'm only 12 cards away from completing that. So that's been very fun. Now I do have the Magikarp card and let me tell you, it does not do justice in this little picture here. In real life, it looks amazing. You can really see this Gyarados kind of popping out right here. This is going to be one of my favorite cards. Magikarp is my favorite Pokemon. So let's go over pricing history here for a second. 1 year ago it was around $190 and it had the same little roller coaster of around March, April, of hitting a little bit of an all-time high at $279 and then dipping back down and then really hitting an all-time high of around $403 back in October, and it's fallen back down to around $251. Now this card I love. I love this card. Love, love, love this card. You're not going to get much better than this, so I'm going to rank this card an easy S tier. Easy, easy S tier, and I think it's going to honestly be the top of S. There's not going to be much that beats that card. So spoiler alert, that's the one for me. So let's keep going on this ranking though. I do love ranking all these cards, and I think it's going to be very, very fun. Next, we got Charizard EX from Obsidian Flames. Now, I've pulled this card 2 times. Actually, I really pulled it almost back to back. I pulled the days apart from each other. And let's look at the pricing history here. 1 year ago, sitting around $70 and did the smallest of little bump roller coasters and then really shot up here September, October, up to $125. And it's fallen back down to around $75 again. So, I love this card. Charizard, of course, is a fan favorite Pokemon, but as far as this one goes, it's okay. I like the art style, but I'm not the biggest fan of the crown on Charizard. I do like the terrestrial crown on a lot of Pokemon. Like, I'm not a hater, but this card in particular, it's just okay. I do like it, but it's not going to be as high as the Gardevoir or the Magikarp. So I'm going to put that one on here. And I'm going to put that one at an easy low B tier. Because I think it is a really good card. But yeah, I'm just going to sit it at B for now. And maybe we'll move some things around once we get a little bit more cards on there. But yeah, just middle of the road as far as chase cards go for me. Alrighty, up next is going to be the Trick or Trade Booster Bundle from 2023. The top chase from that is the Gengar. Yes, I'm including the Trick or Trades because I think those are absolutely qualifying sets for this. Now, I am not including the McDonald's promo sets or anything like that, but I think a lot of people open the Trick or Trade packs, and I think that is just got to be included in this. I love those Trick or Trade packs, especially handing them out to kids on Halloween. So of course we're going to rank them. So let's see here. We got the Gengar from the 2023 booster bundle. Not much to say here. Started at 40 cents a year ago. It's up to 84 cents. Woohoo. But the artwork itself is sick, dude. Gengar hanging on this chandelier here, ready to pounce on somebody and haunt them or, you know, whatever, dude. Man, he's ready to go, dude. I think that's sick. You got the little curtain over here or whatever. And then, of course, the little stamp on it, too. I think that's a great card, you know. I think that's, you know, not the coolest one on the list, but I think it's a pretty cool card here. And I gotta say, I might like it more than the Charizard. I'm looking at it, dude. I like it more than the Charizard, dude. I think it's just gonna have to be, dude. Hate me all you want, Charizard lovers. I'm so sorry. I'm putting it in B tier, and I'm putting it higher than the Charizard. Let's do Pokemon 151 here. And let's see here. The Charizard EX is going to be the top chase card. Shocker there. Everybody loves Charizard. 1 year ago was sitting at 218 and definitely dig a big old roller coaster here. 293 and then fell all the way back down to 180 and then all the way back up to 303 and then now rests at 234. So I love this card. This is another card that has with the evolution, a little story. So the Charizard's at the, the Charmander's at the bottom of the little valley here. And then you can see him climbing and working his way up here and building some strength. And now he's Charmeleon and he's looking up here. He's kind of at the top of the mountain and he sees Charizard at the top flying across, man. I think that's a beautiful little scenery. And we got the little volcano here and everything. And that card's pretty cool, man. So let's see where we put it on the ranking system here. You know, after looking kind of at all these cards on the screen now, I'm definitely going to move this Charizard from Obsidian Flames down to C. And I think I'm going to put this Charizard up in A right by the Gardevoir. I think the Gardevoir is cooler. It tells a little bit more of an at-home story, which relates more to me because I've recently bought a home, and I think that we've got Cricket, our little doggy now, and so we've got our little family, and it kind of relates there. So you're not going to beat that Gardevoir other than the Magikarp here, but I think that the Charizard is very, very cool here. All right, let's move on to Paradox Rift. The top card there is going to be this beautiful Groudon here. And a year ago is sitting around $68 and then really plateaued for a couple months up around the $100 mark and then fell all the way back around 68 bucks again and then had another little roller coaster moment at $96 and now sits around 75. So that's kind of the 1 year history on that one. And I'd like to think that these are some of the same volcanoes that Charizard is flying around. He's flying around maybe over here from that last card that we saw, you know, just relating this all to the same world of Paldea. Charizard's flying around somewhere around here. And I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a great card and it's very, it's got that look of Godzilla, look to it. So I think that's a cool card. I'm going to put it in a very maybe low A, high B situation. For the moment, I'll sit it in a high B and just see how it sits there. Maybe we'll move it up to a low A at some point. But I think high B is good for that one. Alrighty, moving on along to Paldean Fates. We got the Bubble Mew card. Everybody's favorite card. I think it's actually sick. Very cool. And, everybody thinks it relates to Pokemon the first movie in which he's flowing through the water at the beginning and he's in his little bubble. And he almost looks like a shiny Mew there. So I just love this card. A year ago, it was sitting at 306. Kind of went up to an all-time high of 414, fell back down to 297, and then shot way up to around $700, dude. And now rests at about 525. So very, very cool card there. I'm going to definitely put that at a high A for sure. And I think that's going to go right above the Charizard from 151 for me. I think that is just a killer card, but it just doesn't I don't know. Does it be? Yeah. Well, I don't know, dude. Gardevoir is not my favorite Pokemon. It's the story that Gardevoir tells here, right? So it's not necessarily Gardevoir. It's the story of the family, and I love that. I think that's what does it for me here. So I'm just gonna keep Gardevoir at the top here, even though I like this Mew card more. I think I love the story of the Gardevoir and the Ralts and whatever the middle one is. So I'm cool with that. Let's keep going. Up next is Temporal Forces. We got Raging Bolt EX. And this one at 1 year ago was sitting at 101 and had an all-time high of around 110, and slowly has kind of been falling and now sits around $65. This card is cool. It definitely leans into the ancient side of Scarlet and Violet that had the ancient and future thing going. Definitely very cool. Now I like the original designs of the 3 legendary beasts, right? So Raikou, Suicune, and Entei have sick designs in their own right. So for me, this newer design is okay. And at first I thought it was very weak. I was like, what in the world is going on? However, it's grown on me in time. I really like how his head is up in the clouds, and it's a really cool dinosaur design, prehistoric looking design, and the card is prehistoric looking. Definitely come around to me, but it's just okay. I think I'm gonna sit that right above Charizard in C tier because it's just okay for me. I think if they did some special illustration rares for the original beast, like Raikou, like this is a Raikou one, I would like it much better. But I get it. I like it. It's okay. All right, up next we got Twilight Masquerade. We got the Greninja EX. This is a fan favorite Pokemon card. As soon as this came out, it was blowing up immediately. And around a year ago, sitting around 327 and got an all-time high of around 410 bucks. And then an all-time low of 265, and now we sit around 317. Now this is the first big card from Scarlet and Violet. Now, at the time, the Magikarp had not blown up yet. It was sitting around $80, $90. This came out automatically $300. Everybody wanted this card. It was the big chase, and everybody loved opening Twilight Masquerade. So I would say that this was the kind of turning point for Scarlet and Violet for those newer people or even older people who were just coming around to Scarlet and Violet. At the beginning of Scarlet and Violet, people were not interested with the gray borders, and everything is changing, and the way that they did the rarities changed, and a lot of people were turned off. But I feel like this was a huge turning point for Scarlet and Violet. Having said that, it's okay, dude. It's just an okay card to me. This is a perfect example of a card that I can't tell what's going on in the card, right? It's just a lot going on. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful card, and I've seen it in real life in a display case at Ketchum Collectibles, but I don't get the automatic $300 price point and going up to $400. So I'm going to put the Greninja. I'm going to get a lot of hate, dude. I'm going to put it in B tier, right above the Trick or Trade, but below the Groudon, because I think that Groudon is cooler than the Greninja. But it's just okay to me. I'm going to stick it right in the middle of B tier. I think that's very fair. I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, I think. But we'll see. All right, moving along, we've got Shrouded Fable, and that is the Pheasantipity EX. And this is a really cool card. I don't think I've ever seen it in real life. And a lot of the times cards look really cool in real life and they can look not as cool on screen. And I think this has got to be the case for this card. I also know that Pheasantipity is a very playable card in the TCG, so that might also be a reason it's a top chase card. A year ago, sitting around $51 and has come all the way down to around 44. So not a huge drop, but not a huge anything really. I don't know. It's cool, but it's okay. I can understand the playability of it, but you know, it's just okay. I'm gonna put that right here at the low C tier for me. All right, moving along, we've got another trick or trade for 2024. Shocker, it's the Gengar, dude. This one is got a Cosmos holo to it, and there's some kind of market manipulation going on because it was 35 cents for the longest time, and all of a sudden has shot to around $6, and this is the most common of cards you can find. Trigger trade packs are everywhere, so I don't understand what's going on there. Some kind of manipulation, but yeah, this card is really cool. It's Gengar, and he's doing his creepy thing. It's got the moon in the background, and his little window here, and his big old tongue, and the little Pokemon stamp. Is it as cool as the other Gengar, though? No, absolutely not. And in the fact that it's not a psychic type and it's a dark type, I'm putting that in D tier. I think that's whack, dude. And maybe we'll even move it down to E tier, but I think D tier is very fair. Not as good as any of these other ones, that's for sure. All right, let's keep going here. Up next is Stellar Crown. We've got the Squirtle, and this picture is a play off of the Charmander, which was the promo card in the Elite Trainer boxes. And this kind of shows like an alternate view of this little same house here. And I think that obviously the trainer has a Charmander, a Squirtle, and a Bulbasaur because there's a matching Bulbasaur card. So I think that is funny. I think it tells a little story. And you know me, dude, I love cards with a story. So I love this card. A year ago, it was sitting around $55, jumped up to around 80, back down to around $50, and has an all-time high of 88, falling back around $70. I think this card will do well in the future, and I think it's a really good card, and I think that it is really cute, tells a really cute story, and it's got the little Pidgeys in it, which follows along with the other story. I don't know where to put it. I know that I want to put it in A tier, but where do I put it among these ones? I think I like it more than the Charizard, but less than the Bubble Mew, so I'm going to put that right there in A. All right. I think this chart is looking pretty cool. Of course, we've got Magikarp at the top. Nobody's going to touch that, but I love this little chart so far. I think it's coming along good. Up next is Surging Sparks, and we've got the Booty Chew. I'm sorry. A lot of different creators call this card a different name. I've heard a lot of funny names. I've heard a lot of kind of vulgar names. But my favorite is the Booty Chew because a little booty showing. And I don't like this card. And let me tell you why. There's a couple reasons. So when this set was announced, that was the big old boom that happened in 2024. And people went crazy over this card and over this set, and it started the whole trend of now I can't find any product in stores anymore. And so there's kind of a bad taste in my mouth because I didn't open a lot of Surging Sparks because I couldn't find any. It was kind of an aggressive time as far as finding Pokemon cards in the wild. People were being aggressive and scalping, and at least where I live, I could not find anything, dude. So, and when I did find Surging Sparks, I had the worst pull rates, dude. It was terrible. So I'm just biased, dude. I'm so biased against this card. No hate against Pikachu or anything. And it's actually a pretty nice card here. Started off a year ago around $500, $485 maybe, and it's just fallen down to $260, and has had another little ride up to $350, but now sits around just under $300. This card's okay, but my personal bias pushes it down the list. I'm gonna put it in very low C tier. I might drop it into D tier, but I don't like it, dude. I am gonna drop it into D tier. I'm gonna put it right here because it just brought unconsequential negativity to the Pokemon community for a short amount of time. That's all I'm gonna say. Moving along, we've got the ultimate hype set of all time, Prismatic Evolutions, the Umbreon EX. Everything I just said about the Booty Chew times it by 5 with Prismatic Evolutions, with the hype and the aggressiveness of shopping for Prismatic Evolutions. Now, having said that, I like this card more than I like the Pikachu EX because it is an homage to the Moonbreon. A lot of people call this the Sunbreon. I don't get that. I call this the Moonbreon 2.0. A year ago, it sat at crazy $1,700, fell all the way down to $843, and now sits at just over $1,000. That is craziness for one Pokemon card. Now, I've seen this in real life at different collectible shops and things like that. It is one of those cards that looks really good in person, I'll say. It's got all the terrestrial stones around it that represent evolutions, and I just think that's really, really cool. And so I'm going to rate that around the high B tier, but I'm going to keep it under the Groudon, I think, and over the Gray Ninja. I just don't think it's as good as the Charizard, and I don't think it deserves to be an A for that sense. But I like it more than I like the Gray Ninja and the Charizard and the Raging Bull and things like that. So I think that's a fair spot. I really like this Groudon, and I think that's a good place to cement the highest of B tiers because I do like it a lot, but I just don't think it deserves to be an A. So I'm comfortable with this list so far. So let's keep going. Next, we got Journey Together. We got Lily's Clefairy, and this card came out not even a year ago. It came out in around March, and at that time was $575 and quickly fell to around $150 or so, had an all-time low of $127 and now sits around $141. I like this card a lot. I've pulled the alt art version of Lily's Clefairy a few times. And the first time I pulled that, one of my good friends, Tim, my best friend, Tim, he pulled that card on the same day. So we kind of had a little coincidence there. I like this card. I think it's pretty cool. I think 141 is very fair for chase cards these days. I think chase cards getting to the $200, $300, $400 mark is absolutely insanity. It makes it unattainable for the average collector like myself. But 141 as a chase card feels good and feels kind of like the top of that range for what I would like to spend and to kind of see where costs kind of come back down to, simply for the fact that like that's a little bit out of my price range for buying a single card. I mean, it's a lot of money, you know, $141 for one Pokemon card. This is a hobby for me. Remember, this is not my job. This is like $141 is a lot, and I think that if you were collecting like a set, like for that to be like the top card, that's a fair price to me. As far as where I'm gonna rank it, that's a good question. I think I'm gonna have to kind of agree with that same situation with Umbreon, where I think that it deserves to be in a higher B tier, but I think that it's not as good as Groudon. And it's not as good as these A tier Pokemon here. So I think high B but under Groudon is fair. I like that. Okay, that's fair to me. Okay. Moving along, we've got, let's see here, the Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX, or is what I call the Giovanni's Mewtwo. I don't know why they stopped the trainer Pokemon at Team Rocket. Like, you got Misty Psyduck and you got on Ends Reshiram and whatever, dude. but you stopped at Team Rocket. Like, all of Rockets are Rocket. I don't get that. Especially when you have Giovanni on the front, but that's another whatever. This set came out in June or maybe late May, and at that time was sitting around $740. Dropped really quickly to around $300. Had a little rise to about $582, and now sits around $457. This card is sick. It's got Giovanni on it. It's got Mewtwo, and it's got really cool just lighting and texture to it. And I really like this art style, more anime art style to it. It's a great card. I love this card, and I think that this card definitely deserves to be in the lowest spot in A. I just think that's a sick card. I think the Charizard's a little bit cooler, and the Groudon's not as cool, so I think that's a very good spot for it. I might even move it down to the first spot in B, but we'll see. I think that's a very safe spot for that. All right, let's do black and white together. Those are the last two sets. This is the Black Bolt Victini, starting at $2,000, dropping very quickly to around $440, and that's where it sits about today. And then we've got the same exact card in the white flare, starting around $725, and then flatlining around $411. Now, the difference between these cards is just the set symbol. Other than that, it's got really cool looking like stitched texture to it, which I think is very sick, dude. I think that's very cool. But I've never seen it in real life, so I don't know that real life factor to it. And Victini, you know, is a cool Pokemon. Gen 5 are a lot of people's favorite, but does nothing for me, dude. I mean, you know, he's cool and it's good. But I'm going to rank both of these at the bottom of B. I think they're cooler than the Raging Bolt, being just solid red and cool in what they are. But, you know, yeah. So this is my ranking system here. Starting with Paldea Evolved at the top, and you've got Surging Sparks at the bottom, dude. I'm going to get a little bit of hate or a little bit of love, but this is how I feel, and I think that's a very solid list. I'm very happy with that. And I'm going to keep going through all of the eras. This was all of Scarlet and Violet. That is just finished up. We're now in the Mega Evolutions era. We've got Mega Evolutions out. We've got Phantasmal Flames out. And they've just announced the next set, which I think is called Angels and Airways or something. But, so we're fully done with Scarlet and Violet, so I felt like now is a good time to do a ranking for every top chase card. I'm going to be doing another video coming up in the next couple weeks where I rank every Sword and Shield top chase card. And we're just going to keep going back. And then out of those maybe top S or A tiers for each era, we'll rank all those, dude. And we'll just keep ranking things. We'll rank everything, dude. So thank you for watching. If you guys got to the end, I really appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, I would love if you consider subscribing, as I'm trying to grow this small channel into something dope. And thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next ranking video.